What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, look, I'm gonna give the numbers on the pay-per-view that were published by Barb. That is Barb is out of the UK, and it stands for Broadcasters Audience Research Board, and they let the numbers out for the Anthony Joshua versus Povetkin pay-per-view on Sky in the UK, and it dropped by just about 27%, almost 30% drop in pay-per-view buys for this fight for Povetkin versus his last fight with Joseph Parker. Now, these numbers, I hope people won't try to argue with them because Barb, this is an estimation by Barb. But Barb is the numbers that everybody was going with when Anthony Joshua was letting what his pay-per-views sales were be known during the last fight. So I'm just comparing the numbers that Anthony Joshua fans used from the source that Anthony Joshua fans used and comparing their numbers. The Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker did 1.457 million, 1,457,000. This fight against Povetkin, I think I might have said Povetkin twice. The Joseph Parker fight did 1.457 million. The fight with Alexander Povetkin did 1.08 million. That was a drop of roughly 357,000 fewer pay-per-view buys in his last fight. If you look at the revenue that was pulled in by that fight, if it's roughly $25 per pay-per-view for the pay-per-view in the UK, it's £19.95. And you translate that as roughly $25 per pay-per-view buy. I think it might be 26, but you're looking roughly at a fight that did about $27.5 million in pay-per-view. And you're looking at the gate probably be somewhere around $8 million, $8 to $10 million. You don't know because it didn't sell out. And and they were giving away a lot of tickets. But I'll just go with the numbers for when Wembley did sell out for Vladimir Klitschko, which was like a $10 million gate. So between the two of them, you're looking at roughly a $37 million, $38 million fight. That's not going to make him the A side against Deontay Wilder if Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury does 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Because if it does 500,000 pay-per-view buys, it's $70 a head. That's $35 million right there just in the pay-per-view. And if their gate is half the size of the Gennady Golovkin Canelo Alvarez's gate, and they do a $12 million gate, now you're looking at roughly a $50 million fight just off the gate in the pay-per-view from the US. And then you also do a 500,000 pay-per-view buys in the UK, which you will do. I'm confident you'll do because it's Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. And everybody in the UK that's a boxing fan knows about the two, but just cut it in half or give it the same number as Dillian White's pay-per-view buy a pay-per-view when he fought Joseph Parker. What did that do? Around 450, something like that. So you say another 400,000 pay-per-view buys in the UK. So if you do 400,000 pay-per-view buys, let's do it real quick. 400,000 pay-per-view buys at $25 a head, same price. You're talking another $10 million. You're talking another $10 million out of the UK pay-per-view, right? So now you're looking at a $60 million fight. You're looking at a $60 million fight that Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua can do. And Tyson Fury can do. $60 million fight, which is $20 million more than Anthony Joshua and Povetkin just did. And there is no international television rights in the UK in the United States for Alexander Povetkin, Anthony Joshua, because it wasn't even aired here. So now you're looking at why it might be that Anthony Joshua, that Shelley Finkel and Shelly Finkel and Deontay Wilder don't have any time for Anthony Joshua to negotiate and finalize a fight in April before the numbers come out. Because more than likely, Deontay Wilder will become the A side in that fight. If he beats Deontay Wilder, if Deontay Wilder beats Tyson Fury and they do 500,000 pay-per-view buys in the United States. If they were to do 1 million pay-per-view buys in the United States, it's absolutely positively a wrap. It's $100 million fight. Anthony Joshua's doing $40 million fights in the UK. There's be no argument whatsoever for Anthony Joshua being the A side of anything. And he would do it with Tyson Fury. But that tells you something. Anthony Joshua is not a one-man show. Now, the numbers that Anthony Joshua can bring in the UK, if Deontay Wilder didn't have the ability to do pay-per-view, if his popularity wasn't growing in the United States, then hey man, you could go over there and you can make that argument. But if these numbers come through like this, it's going to be a 50-50. It's going to be a 50-50 fight. Or why would he take it? Because Anthony Joshua is declining. That's the other side of it. This is a over 25% drop in your performance. You went from 1.4, you dropped by 350,000. It's easy to make an argument that, look, man, go fight somebody else. Your numbers will be the same. Why would you think Alexander Povetkin and Joshua and Dillian White are going to be that much more? Was it going to go up a little bit? Anthony Joshua's plateaued. His numbers so far has never been close to what he did with Vladimir Klitschko. He's plateaued, and if anything, he's declined because he wasn't even able to sell out Wembley. Not even. That's a big feat to sell out Wembley. But he wasn't able to sell out Wembley. His pay-per-view numbers have declined. He shows that he's a consistent draw at 1 million. You can count on 1 million pay-per-view buys in the UK. But the problem with the 1 million pay-per-view buys in the UK is that the 1 million pay-per-view buys and you can't really even count on that because he did 887 according to Barb against Carlos Takam. But that was a replacement. That was a late replacement, right? I guess Alexander Povetkin can bring some numbers. But it is what it is. So there's going to be an argument for Deontay Wilder to say, look, man, this is a 50-50 fight. I don't want to talk. So I don't want to talk about it. And then it even tells you even more how a flat fee is a $15 million flat fee is ridiculous. Because as you see, the drop of $8 million, roughly $9 million drop in revenue off the pay-per-view from Joseph Parker. $9 million drop from Joseph Parker to Povetkin was an $8 million drop. $8 million drop just from those two. Now you're talking about Deontay Wilder. Not fighting Deontay Wilder cost them $8 million, let alone the upside of actually having fought Deontay Wilder, where you might have got 1.7 million people tune in for that fight. Who knows? It cost them money not to fight Deontay Wilder. So Deontay Wilder he has even a better argument. He'll say, okay, well, look, not only am I bringing you extra to the equation, will I improve your numbers? If you don't fight me, you fight somebody else, your numbers are going to decline. It cost these guys $10 million not to fight Deontay Wilder, which again makes this the fact that Anthony Joshua turned down $50 million to fight Deontay Wilder, $80 million guaranteed, is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And now take it even further and say Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury do have 2 fights in 2019. And they don't even face Anthony Joshua in 2019. in 2019. They pushed that to 2020. Who is Anthony Joshua going to fight? That's a problem when you think you made it. Who is Anthony Joshua going to fight? Is he going to have what's he going to have a rematch with is he going to have a rematch with Joseph Parker? Get those great numbers with Joseph Parker the second time around? What? He's going to fight Joseph Parker and Dillian White again? He has nobody to fight. Nobody that's of major interest to fight. And Dillian White, I don't even believe it. I don't believe Dillian White's an interest at all anyway. But it is what it is. And we'll see what happens. But, the conclusion of it is that Anthony Joshua's numbers took a severe dip in this last fight. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury it is a very realistic scenario that Deontay Wilder could come out of this really being the money man in that situation. And if he winds up doing those type of numbers in the U.S., then it's going to be hard for Anthony Joshua to even argue that fight needs to go to the U.K. because his numbers would not be up to par with what Deontay Wilder's numbers were. And once that happens, that it's happened. You get paid for your last fight, your next fight, what you do this fight is what you earn the next fight. And if Deontay Wilder does bigger numbers than Anthony Joshua, hey man, Anthony Joshua is going to have to come, and Eddie Hearn going to have to come off that money, and it might be 55-45 the other way. Anyway, it is what it is, and with that, I'm out. Peace.